Hey, what's up, guys? Chris Steeves here with eXp Realty in Ottawa. Let's talk about buyers and is it smart to go in to write offers with no conditions, or are you better off having conditions in your offer? Let's look at the pros and cons of both and see what makes the most sense. Every situation's a little bit different. Right off the bat, I'm a fan of having the potential to write an offer with no conditions. So, it's December now, 2022. Even last week, the market's super slow right now, but even last week I wrote an offer for some clients and ended up being 4 other offers. So a total of 5 offers on this property. Beautiful country home. It was a very nice one. But, if you're in multiple offers, you need to be able to write an offer with no conditions if you want to stand a chance at winning. It's very rare that a seller is going to look at a handful of offers. If there's other offers with no conditions in them, they are going to work with that offer. It's very, very rare that they will accept an offer that's conditional, when you're in these multiples. So, this is why I say if you have the ability, even in a slow market, it does make sense. You will have better negotiation power, better leverage, and you'll be able to drive a better deal if you can go in with no conditions, even if it's not multiple offers. But let's talk about the multiple offers scenario first. If you're a seller and you're looking at 5 offers and 1 or 2 of them have no conditions, you're going to work with those. Why? Because if you accept an offer with conditions and they need, let's say, 7 days to do an inspection or to get their financing approved, financing's the worst. Anyways, right now it's tricky. But you're potentially leaving this open to, a week goes by and for whatever reason the buyer can't get their financing or they didn't like the home inspection. The buyer can then walk away scot-free, no issues. And what do you have? You're stuck. A week's gone by. All the other buyers that wrote offers have probably moved on. They may or may not still be interested in yours. And you've lost the momentum of being a new listing. So it's high risk for a seller to accept a conditional offer when there's a bidding war happening. So I would never advise my seller client, to work with a conditional offer. Even when that conditional offer is higher in price than anybody else, the unconditional offer is the way to go. Normally, you're going to go to that buyer that has no conditions, and you're going to say, can you come up a little higher in price? And let's work with those people. Or you're going to go to that other buyer that has, a very strong price, but has conditions in their offer, and you're going to say, listen, you're very close here. If you want this deal, you may need to remove your conditions, right? And that's going to, that's the difference between winning or losing in those situations. So, that's really, you're going to have to kind of be prepared for that. And as much as we are in this slow market, if there's a really good deal out there, chances are a lot of other people see that too, and they're going to write offers, and you're going to be in a multiple offer bidding war, and you want to be ready. So what I recommend is, ahead of time, talk to a good mortgage broker and to your realtor, get everything lined up, get your financing lined up, number one, and tell that mortgage broker, by the way, we might end up writing an offer with no conditions. Is that going to be doable? What do I need to know? And if your mortgage broker knows what they're doing, they should give you proper advice and guidance and should make it fairly clear. Okay, if you're buying anything under $700,000, let's say, you're no problem. There's going to be a handful of lenders that are going to lend you the money. They're going to give you a mortgage at these are the rates you could expect. They're going to give you all that information up front, and they should really know what they're talking about. or else you may need to get a better mortgage broker. So absolutely important to have that stuff lined up tight, have a tight relationship with your mortgage broker, keep in very close contact with them. Same with your realtor. Have ask all the questions you can, have the in-depth discussion. Then the other thing is potentially a home inspection. As a realtor, it's always my job to say, yes, do a home inspection. You want to be careful, be sure of what you're buying. But, that wasn't a reality for the last few years in Ottawa because everything was going way over asking price and nobody had conditions in their offer. So you either do a home inspection before you write the offer, or maybe the seller has done a pre-inspection and they can share that report with you, or you do a showing and you bring like a contractor friend or bring somebody with you that knows construction and they can walk through the house and kind of pick out some of the issues. In these situations, it does not make sense to make a fuss over small things. Like, if you need better drainage on one corner of the house and it's just a matter of extending the downspout away from the property, and you can go to Home Depot and get a new downspout extension for $20, you don't create a fuss. That's not something that you want to try and renegotiate on your deal. It's because it's $20, right? So you got to choose your battles, and typically the unwritten rule of thumb in real estate is, it needs to be a substantial problem with the home. It needs to be, $500 or $1,000 or more worth of issues for you to really kind of make that make a fuss about it and try and renegotiate or trying to negotiate at all. The other thing is, if there's major structural issues with a home, well, obviously that's a problem, and you're going to need to evaluate that. But every single property out there, without fail, there will be some small things that you'll find with that house, some small issues, and every home inspector out there is going to be able to find a few smaller issues. Typically you don't want to lose a perfectly good property. You're talking about $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 for a home. Do you want to make a fuss about $200 worth of repairs? Probably not. So, those are the ways that you can get your, satisfy that inspection condition ahead of time. So when you write that offer, there's no conditions. So the other thing to look, in the multiple offers, yes, it's very black and white. You really do need to go in with no conditions to win. Just so to touch on the story I mentioned from a week ago, we were in the multiple offers. We had the highest priced offer, but we lost to another bidder because they had no conditions in their offer. We had conditions in ours and we couldn't remove them. Financing had to have the condition in there. So we lost the deal. And that's very common. So the other situation is, let's say you've got a property that's been on the market for like 3 months and there's no multiple offers on this property. But that you're able to go in with no conditions because your financing is lined up, you're good to go there. You're going to do like a pre-inspection, you're going to take a look at the house and go through everything. And, you've checked it out to make sure that it's, for the most part, it's solid, it's good, there's no major issues. So what you could do in that situation is you can write an offer with conditions in the offer and, go in, let's say $50,000 below asking price. And then, when the sellers counter offer to you, they come back and say, well, we'll meet you halfway. We'll go $25,000 below asking price. Then you can go back to them and you can say, okay, we'll remove the conditions, but we want $35,000 or $40,000 below asking price. And the seller at that point may be inclined to say yes because they went from this offer has conditions, the potential that these buyers could walk away. We don't know what's going to happen during the conditional period. And they went from that to, this is now a firm deal. Ideally, you give them a big deposit and there's no backing out. You've got exactly like this deal is done. You just have to sign the acceptance. And 9 times out of 10, you are going to get a better price and better terms when you can go in with no conditions on these. So, you could get an extra 5-10 grand off the price just by sending them an offer with no conditions that's firm and final. So, it's kind of dangerous and it's risky. I mean, that's the disclaimer here. You need to really know what you're doing, but it is a great strategy. I know a lot of investors that use that strategy, and they will go in and they'll say, listen, we want a low price, but we're going to give you an excellent offer, no conditions, quick closing date if you want it, and it's clean, simple, and it's the best way to get the best deal. So, on the other side of the coin, yes, this is riskier. You really need to be more confident in what you're doing. You need to be very confident in your financing ability. You need to know a little bit about homes and construction and what to look for the home inspection. And, obviously you need to be careful what you're buying because you're writing an unconditional offer. It's firm and it's final. There's no backing out. So, that's the downside. But, if you know what you're doing and you're sure of the property and the deal, it can be very advantageous to have no conditions. So that's kind of gives you the rundown of unconditional offer versus conditional offer and some of the scenarios that you run into. As always, talk to your realtor about it. See what they say. Get their opinion. Find out what makes sense. They should really hold your hand through that whole process anyway. But hopefully you guys found that helpful. And if you have questions about that stuff and you're in a situation where you need some help, obviously reach out to me. You can email or call me. Find me on my website, chrissteeves.ca. And always love to hear from you guys. All right. See you next time.